everyone, Christina here. Welcome to a bonus video for the holiday card series. If you remember, a few days ago I'd made some shaker cards using these letters from the Big Piece die from Simon Says Stamp, and I kept the letters and I thought I would go ahead and make them into cards. So I'm starting out by scoring some Neenah Solar White cardstock. This is the 110 pound cardstock, and these are going to be landscape cards with a fold on the top, so I scored them at 4 1/4. Now I'm using the dotted embossing folder from Ware Memory Keepers. This is one of their, I think it's called Next Level embossing folders. It also has another one that comes with it, and it's these hearts. I think they're so cute. I can't wait to use that for Valentine's Day. But for today, I'm going to use the dotted embossing folder. So I'm going to put just a little bit of washi tape right along that score line because I want to keep these cards flat. I don't want to be folding them quite yet, and I wasn't able to see where that fold was going to be when I started to put it in the embossing folder. So this is just going to give me a guide for where I need to place the embossing folder since it's not going to slide all the way into that embossing folder. So I'm just putting it in and lining up that green washi tape line with the top edge of where the dotted pattern ends. And I'm just going to sandwich that in there, and then I'm going to use it in my Big Shot machine. Now this embossing folder is going to take place of one of my cutting pads. So my bottom cutting pad that I usually use is not there, and then so I've got my metal adapter plate, the embossing sandwich, and then my green cutting plate on top. And it adds just enough pressure to give a really fun texture to my cardstock. So you can see those dots. I think they look so cool. These embossing folders are amazing. So I ran that through with my other one as well, and I'm going to work on these letters. So I'm taking some fun foam and then a piece of Stick It adhesive. This is a really, really thin adhesive. I'm going to put this on the back of the fun foam, and I'm going to be using this to create some dimension on these letters. So I'm going to go ahead and put the Stick It adhesive all along the back of this fun foam, and then I'll peel off the release paper, and I'll put down a sheet of Neenah Solar White paper as well. Or actually, I think I'm doing this backwards. I put the Stick It adhesive on the cardstock, and then I'll be adhering the fun foam on top. You could go either way, whatever is easiest for you. I think in this case, I just use the cardstock first. So now I've got a piece of fun foam, and I'm going to place that right over the top. And by adding some cardstock to this fun foam before I put it through my die cutting machine, it's going to prevent the fun foam from warping. It sort of stretches out and warps when you cut it. So by putting it on some cardstock, it helps keep its shape. So I'm going to go ahead and run this through my die cutting machine using that same Big Piece die that I used for the letters. And I'm going to run it through twice so that I have two sets of foam letters. This is going to be the added dimension on the back of my letters when I add them to my card. So you can see that it just cuts out this fun foam really easily, and everything just punches right out. Now, sometimes you have to mess with your cutting sandwich, adding a metal adapter plate or adding some cardstock to make that sandwich just a little bit tighter so that your die cutting machine can cut the letters, but you really just have to play around with it. So I'm using my Tim Holtz craft pick just to pick out some of those letters. And then I ran them through my Xyron Create Sticker machine. I ran through the actual ink blended letters, and this is going to add adhesive completely on the back of these letters. It, just as the name implies, it makes stickers out of these die cuts. So this Create a Sticker machine is fantastic for instances like this when you need your die cut to be completely coated in adhesive. So now I'm going to press down that release paper just to get all of that adhesive only applied to the letters. And then I'll go ahead and peel up that plastic backing sheet. And as it peels back, it reveals all of these stickers. And then I can start assembling my thicker foam letters. So I'm going to take each letter and just pick up a little piece of the foam and press it on top. Now, I was concerned about getting these letters on there completely lined up correctly, but it didn't turn out to be that big of a problem. I was able to sort of press my fingertips on the sides of the fun foam and the die cut, and it sort of aligned them in the perfect area and perfect position. So I went ahead and did this to all of the letters. You just have to be really careful and make sure you get them all lined up just right. Some of the fun foam wants to curl a little bit, so you just have to run your fingers over it to sort of straighten it out as well. So after I had all of those fun foam letters put together, I decided to figure out what I was going to do for the rest of my greeting. So I have this die set from W+9, and I'm using some fog cardstock from Simon Says Stamp and cutting out the word joy. So it's going to say joy and peace. And I'm going to cut this out twice, one for each card. Then I'm adhering the letters to the front of each card, and I'm using some Ranger Multi-Medium Matte to glue those on. This is a liquid adhesive, so it kind of absorbs into the foam a little bit, but then it also adheres down to my card. I'm using one of those first cards that I created earlier this week as an example for how these letters should be placed. I wanted to get a similar placement of letters, and in between adhering each letter, I did have an acrylic block pressed down on the letters that I've already adhered, just to give it a little bit of pressure so that it fully adheres to the front of the card while I'm applying glue to the next letter. So I'm just putting a little more glue onto that letter, and then I'll lift up the acrylic block and place that letter on top. Sometimes if you need a little bit of help getting the position just right, you can use your tweezers. So in some cases, I used my EK Success tweezers to help me hold the letter and get that in place. I like to use tweezers when my fingertips are just going to be in the way, and it makes it so that I can see exactly where these little die cuts are being placed. So just placing that right on top, and then I'll go ahead and put an acrylic block on top to make sure that that dries completely as well. So now I'm going to work on the "and" area of the greeting. So I'm going to take that stamp set that I used in the very first cards that I made, and I'm stamping that on some vellum. I'm going to prep the vellum with some EK Success powder tool. It's just going to prepare that area for embossing. So I'm swiping that powder over the bottom corner of this vellum piece, and then I stamped the circle border and also one of the ampersands in Versamark ink. Now I'm going to take some Hero Arts white embossing powder and just sprinkle that over these two circles. And I did have a messed up stamping, and I decided to put embossing powder on that one as well too, just so that I wouldn't have any weird ink smudges or smearing. So I heat set that with my heat tool till it was melted, and then I used a 1-inch circle punch to punch out these ampersands. So the way I'm going to adhere these to the card, because it is vellum, I'm going to use a clear adhesive. Before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and adhere down the Joy die cut above the word peace. So I'm using some Ranger Multi-Medium Matte once again to apply some adhesive on the back of the Joy, and I'm holding it with my tweezers. This is one of those cases where using tweezers is really beneficial because this is a very small die cut and it's really delicate, and it would have been hard to hold the die cut, apply adhesive, and press it down onto the card without getting my fingers all coated in adhesive that would eventually get all over the card. So if you don't have tweezers already in your crafting stash, it's one of those tools that you only have to buy once and then you have it forever and ever, and it will come in handy multiple times as you work on your cards. So after I had that Joy completely adhered down onto my card, I took some Cool Tack clear foam adhesive and I cut off a little tiny piece that I put on the back of the circle ampersand vellum piece. This is a clear adhesive that is great for adhering vellum, or maybe even some white pieces that you really want to make sure you don't see any foam. This clear foam adhesive is really great for that. Now if you look really closely after I've applied it, you'll still be able to see the foam square, but all in all, it's a really great alternative to having to use an adhesive that's going to show more than this clear foam adhesive. So I went ahead and adhered the Joy over onto the blue-purple card as well. And I'm just pressing that down with my fingertips and then putting a little bit of that Cool Tack clear foam adhesive on the back of the circle and pressing that down into the card front in between the letters A and C. That just nestles in right there perfectly at the very tail end of the word Joy. After I have that adhered, that finishes the cards for today. Hope you enjoyed this little bonus video right in between days 7 and 8 of the holiday card series. I will be back on Monday with day 8. Until then, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching today's bonus video. On screen are some other holiday cards that I've made this year and also in years past that were not part of the holiday card series. I do always have a few card videos that have holiday cards in them that aren't part of the holiday card series every year. So not only will you find holiday card inspiration during the series, but also on the days kind of before and after the holiday series is over. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's card video. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to visit my blog, it's it's kwarnerdesign.com, and I will catch you guys next time.